Multi-passionate creative rebels. This is the fear of rejection paradox. This cycle here is stopping you being happy, having purpose, making money, being successful, fulfilling your creative potential. Is all because of this cycle, which you probably are unaware that you're stuck in. And it's all about trying to fit in. As a kid, you were rejected. Why were you rejected? Because you were too emotional, you were too sensitive, you were too hyper, you were too whatever. So as a result of that, you start to hide your true self. You start to wear a mask. You hid parts of yourself away from other people so you would be accepted, so that you would stop being rejected. And otherwise, you dimmed your lights, okay? You crushed your whole potential and you started rejecting yourself. Why did you do that? To avoid rejection from others. And this is so dangerous and toxic. It's poison. Why? Let me prove it to you. If I say to you, you can't do something, you're going to go out of your way to prove me wrong. You're going to say, F you, I'm going to prove you wrong. However, if you tell yourself you can't do something, you're going to be paralyzed. And that is the power of being rejected, self-rejection, as opposed to the rejection of others. But this is what we do. And because of that, once we are accepted, even partially accepted by the tribe, whether that be society or your school, your teachers, your friend group, whatever it might be, you're always going to be people pleasing because you're always going to be fear of losing it. All right? So that means you're just stuck in this. So you're always trying to fit in. So you hide your parts of yourself, which means you reject yourself, which means you've got low self-esteem. How could you ever possibly feel good enough if you're rejecting parts of yourself from the world by wearing a mask, right? And that's to avoid rejection from others, which means you're always going to be people pleasing. You're going to keep fitting in, right? Continues. And this is why the most common dying regret is I wish I'd lived a life that was true to myself and not what other people expected of me. Let me say that again. The most common dying regret is I wish I'd lived a life that was true to myself and not what other people expect of me. And that is what the fear of rejection paradox is, right? So how do we reject ourselves? We hide our weird. We hide our potential. We hide our success. If you look at something like Liquid Death, right? It looks like nothing like any other water brand, which is why it's a billion-dollar brand, right? It's why it's so successful, because it's weird. It stands out. It's confidence in its weirdness, right? It uses its creative confidence and it just like that, right? And that is the power of embracing your weirdness. But you hide all that, right? In order to fit in and be average and just look like all the other water bottles. That's what you're doing, right? Again, look, I'm not judging, by the way. I did the same, right? And so what you're doing, you're dimming your lights, you're squeezing yourself into a tiny little box, you're niching down, right? You're living a life for other people expect of you, not what's true to you. And this is related toxic traits. People pleasing, sacrificing your needs to please others. Perfectionism, basing your creative self-worth on other people's opinions. Low self-esteem, chasing external validation, no purpose, unhappiness, misery, knowing that knowing that you've got this potential, but not having the courage to put it out there, right? And this means burnout. This means losing your identity. Who am I? Who is the real me? It's imposter syndrome. It's comparing yourself next to others. It's always feeling you've been left behind. It's all these negative thoughts, right? All to try and fit in with average people. I'm not saying everyone's average, but you take my point. No purpose or meaning, right? So to fit in with the tribe and avoid rejection from them, we reject ourselves by hiding our true weird selves. Fear of rejection is a self-fulfilling prophecy of self-sabotage. That's what it is. You're self-sabotaging your own life in order to fit in with average people who don't really give a shit. There you go. That's it in a nutshell. So this is what you have to do. Journal prompt number 1. You don't have to journal about this. You can just think about this. Which parts of myself have I been hiding to be more acceptable? Okay? What is your weirdness? What is your weird quirks? What is what makes you different? What is it makes you stand out? What is your different thinking? What is the different ways? What is taking different ideas that don't exist, put them together, your idea synthesis? What is being weird? Being your weird creative self. Put your weirdness out there. Stop trying to hide it. Stop caring what people think about your weirdness. Okay? Journal prompt 2. If I stopped rejecting myself first, who would I be or who would I attract? What is your potential? That's what you have to do. Start journaling about this. What could you possibly be? If you could do anything and if you could be anything in the world and it didn't matter what anybody else thought or you couldn't fail, what would you be? Then that's your goal, okay? Another way to look at it is that what is the thing that creates the most anxiety? What is the most thing that is the most fearful for you? Usually it's putting your ideas out there. That's what I find with most clients. So, journal prompt 3, and how was rejecting myself fed my anxiety and limited my human experience, right? What is it that you feel most fearful about? That gives you huge clues. What is it you did as a child that you no longer do now? What was it you were obsessed with as a child that you no longer do now? And how can you monetize that? What is your shame? What is the things that you are so shameful about that you don't talk about? This are all the clues to your true weird potential. So look, this is it. Stop rejecting yourself, right? Screw them. Stop trying to fit in with other people, right? Okay? These people are average. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. If you're trying to fit in with people that are all superstars, creative geniuses, then fine, absolutely. Aspire to that. That's something to do. But if you're trying to fit in with just average people who've got average jobs and average lives and average that is not who you are. Right? You're not a specialist, you're not average, you're not neurotypical, so stop trying to be those things, right? Stop hiding your true self. Stop rejecting yourself. Who cares if other people reject you? It's way more important that you accept yourself and be rejected by others. Way more important than the other way around. Stop people pleasing. Stop people pleasing with your creativity. Stop people pleasing with your empathy, your humanity. Stop sacrificing your needs to please other people, right? Start living a life that's true to yourself and not what other people expect of you, and avoid the most common dying regret. So hope this helps. Peace out.